What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to Blazers Uprise Live here on a Thursday. Today, we had Game 6 of the NBA Finals, and the Pacers trounced the Thunder 108-91. We're going to recap that game, and we have the first Game 7 in 9 years. The first Game 7 since LeBron took his Cavs to an NBA championship against the Golden State Warriors. That, of course, was the game with the Kyrie shot. It was a terrific game. We can only hope for such in Game 7. Game 6 was a Pacers masterclass. We're going to break that down. We're also going to break down the draft. We're going to go in depth on some draft targets for your Portland Trail Blazers with the 11th overall pick. We're going to discuss a number of different guys because there's many different options for the Portland Trail Blazers this season with where they're picking. And we're going to break down what we think of a number of different prospects that could be the Blazers selection at number 11. We'll also talk about how they could fit into the Blazers next season, depending on who it is, of course, or maybe they're a more long-term play. We're going to have some detailed discussions around the draft, which I always look forward to. Eric, what's going on, man? How is your week treating you?
It's going good. Do you have the right day today?
Yeah, Thursday.
Good.
Thursday. It was
You
weird
thought it was
because
Thursday on Monday.
I know. And then, see, I wasn't going to mess up 2 games in a row. You know, we bounce back here, okay? Just like the Pacers bounced back, I bounce back.
All right. Unfortunately, the Thunder are pretty good at bouncing back too. So
Yeah, just so I'm rooting for the Pacers. You guys know that by now if you've watched the show. This was a terrific game for those of you who like Game 7s, for those of you who are rooting for the Pacers, and I hope they can pull it out in Game 7 on the road. It's going to be tough. But, Eric, I'll say this. Never count this team out. Never count them out. They find a way to stay alive. That arena was rocking, man. It just, when I see a team like Indiana in the finals and I see their fan base going crazy, a part of me just envisions it being Moda Center in the Blazers and what it would be like to have a finals game at Moda Center.
would you be in attendance?
I mean, I'd have to, man. I'd have to. The thing is the post games en route to the NBA Finals would be so popping, like, the people would probably fund the ticket, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'd absolutely
Can you imagine
have to.
some of those games where, like, Halliburton or the Pacers came back and won at the end? Like, how crazy those post-game shows would be.
I know, man. It'd be phenomenal. And so I'm envisioning, man, what if this was Portland? And that's exactly why I'm so hard on this freaking team, man. That's why I'm hard on this freaking team. Because I sit there watching the Pacers like, man, could it just be the Blazers at least once in the next decade? I would love for this. I could, like, it's hard to imagine it being the Blazers, even the SVP post-game Sports Center on court at Moda Center would be cool, man. Like, just the whole atmosphere, the whole experience of it. I hope the Blazers get a taste in the next decade, okay? I'm not even putting that high of a standard on them. Just once out of the next 10 years, can we do that? Can we at least try? That's all I ask for. But the Pacers, man, they out-thunder the Thunder in this game, Eric. The Thunder turned over the ball 21 times and only forced 11 turnovers. It's funny how the Thunder don't really look like a good basketball team when you're able to force them to turn it over more than they force you to turn it over. Of course, this is a team that thrives on turning other teams over. It was done to them instead. I mean, I don't know how many of those turnovers came in garbage time. This game was basically over after the Pacers answered a Thunder run that cut the lead down to, I believe it was 18 points. The Pacers answered with a 12-0 run of their own when it looked like the Thunder were about to claw back in the third quarter. This game was basically over the entire fourth quarter. Tyrese Halliburton didn't have to play the fourth quarter. He, of course, was questionable coming into this game with a calf strain, so that's good for him. He only played 23 minutes, and he was decently effective considering he was hurt in those 23 minutes. But the Thunder, 8 for 30 from 3, 26.7% from behind the arc. when you can force them to turn it over and they're also prone for some bad three-point shooting games, that's how you beat the Thunder. That's what the Pacers did tonight. SGA, 21 points, but 8 turnovers, Eric, for the MVP. 4 rebounds, only 2 assists. Is a 1 to 4 assist to turnover ratio bad? It's pretty bad.
Yes.
Career high for turnovers for SGA. Brutal game from him. Brutal disappearance from my guy Eric Brandt. SGA was so bad it made you want to leave the stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jalen Chet's stat line and it froze my computer.
Or were you looking at Jalen Williams plus minus? Because after scoring 40 points, he was a minus 40.
The worst plus minus I think in NBA Finals history.
Yeah, at least I think it was the worst plus minus in his career was the stat. And then on the other side of things, Obi Toppin, Andrew Nembhard, TJ McConnell had some good minutes in this one. Pascal Siakam, 16 points, 13 boards. And then Halliburton finished with, let me pull up the box score here before I start trying to recite stats off the top of my head, and then I'll get your take on this game, of course, Eric. But Halliburton, as I said, dealing with the calf strain coming into this game, it was questionable whether he would play or not. But, of course, this is the NBA Finals. He found a way to play. You always worry about guys with calf strains, man, especially after seeing Dame go down with an Achilles tear, Jason Tatum go down with an Achilles tear. It was like, oh, man, this better not be the third high-profile star that has that happen. It's just, ever since Rodney Hood, anytime I hear calf strain, it worries me, man. But Halliburton looked okay. 14 points, 5 assists, 5 for 12 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, plus 25 in 23 minutes. And he didn't have to play the fourth quarter, which I thought was potentially huge for him not like worsening that injury, considering he's going to have to come up big in a Game 7. Eric, what are your takeaways from this game?
Well, primarily I was just shocked that the Pacers blew them out. For OKC to no-show when you have a chance to win a championship just seemed really weird to me. I don't know what that is, if that's just them being young, their coach not doing a good job of preparing them, or what it is, but I just was really surprised that they got blown out in this game. And it kind of felt like they thought they'd already won the series, maybe. And I don't know if they can flip that switch back on. I mentioned this before, but OKC is going to be rocking, man. They've been bringing it all playoffs, and I can't imagine what that atmosphere is going to be like on Sunday. But the Pacers, man, it's like the one team I think right now that you feel okay in that environment. Like, I don't think they're going to get phased either. And man, what if it was like one last late fourth quarter comeback from the Pacers? They're down like 10 with 4 minutes left or something and come back and win.
Could you imagine?
If they did it again.
Could you imagine a Halliburton game winner in Game 7? It would be, I don't know if he did that, I don't know if it'd be possible to ever top how clutch of a playoff run that would be if he capped it off with something like that.
Even without that, I don't think it's ever going to be top, but that would be...
That would be legendary, man. Like, he has a chance to become legendary in this Game 7, especially, you know, he's not 100%, but he's gritting it out. Shout out to him. It was funny because he was getting criticized for like playing in Game 5 down the stretch, trying to play through injury, but of course if he sat, he would be roasted for not playing through injury. And you know, that's just the way this game is covered now. People love to complain. People love to complain about what has been a terrific product. And it's like, as an athlete, man, I want to see the guy, the best player on the team, gritting out the injury, trying his best. And listen, if he's so limited that he's hurting his team, that's on the coach to pull him out. As a player, I would be dying to play every second of an NBA Finals game. So hopefully these next couple of days is some good rest for him. He said he's gonna go. He was on the SVP postgame. He said he was gonna go watch some Love Island with his girl. He's like me for real, and like Jalen Brunson apparently. So,
You watch Love Island
with my girlfriend, yes,
Okay.
yes. Real Hoopers watch Love Island apparently.
Why do you have to like throw in that you're watching it with your girlfriend? You can't just watch it.
Just
Would you be embarrassed to say you just watched it without her?
I mean, I won't answer that question.
All right.
I won't answer that question. I probably wouldn't say it on stream. Just like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Halliburton say he's watching it with his girlfriend. It's just the show that you would watch with your girlfriend and never watch on your own. You know what I mean? There's always I don't know what other shows. Maybe chat can come up with some show names, but there's always those shows where like. Probably never gonna watch it on your own, but because your girlfriend watches it, and it's like drama or reality, and you kind of get sucked into it, and then then you watch like 4 episodes in a row, and you're hooked. But if it wasn't for her, I'm not watching that crap. So, that's
they bring you into the show, but like, there's no way you're not finishing it. Like, if you weren't.
Exactly.
If you wasn't around to watch it, you'd still watch the rest of it. So.
Yeah, because like that's the one show you catch in passing, and you're like, what garbage are you watching? What the hell are you watching? You know what I mean? And then you sit down and watch it, so like, okay, I kind of get it. Drama's always fun, and we got drama in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I've never watched that show. I just seen like clips.
I don't think it's for you. I don't think it's for you, man.
What is that supposed to mean?
I don't know, man. I mean, maybe you're gonna have to watch it with your wife. You should.
Why?
You should.
I just watch it on my own. I don't.
No. You should ask your wife to watch it with you, and I just want to know what she says. I just want to know what she says, but yeah.
Is it better than MILF Manor?
I've never watched MILF Manor. I've heard of. Is that show still going? I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know. I mean, it's. Do you understand the concept of the show?
Yeah, I mean,
okay,
reality show, dating.
Yeah, but like. It's kind of saucy. Gets a little saucy. It's dramatic.
I mean, like I said, I've seen clips of it, so
yeah.
I understand there's some drama.
Yeah. So Halliburton's gonna go rehab his calf and
2 days off. That's good. Yeah.
Watch some Love Island, and hopefully he comes up big in Game 7, man. Hopefully he comes up big in Game 7 because
I was really surprised at how well he was moving tonight. Like I was expecting him to be like kind of limping around out there, but yeah.
Trevin says someone's gonna open the stream right now confused how this is a conversation this early in the stream. Yeah, this is like late night Blazers Uprise, but early, you know what I mean? But blame Halliburton, blame Jalen Brunson too, because Jalen Brunson had a tweet about it, and yeah, I don't know, it's what Hoopers watch with their girlfriends. All right, but anyway, I just like that I'm able to talk about a TV show on stream for once. Like that in Amazing Race is like the 2 shows I watch per year now. So it's about it. The one play that worried me with Halliburton was the steal where he had to chase down the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just because like he had to run full speed to save it from going out. But he got after that pretty well. And then, of course, had the no-look. I mean, it was a flashy pass. I don't know if I would call it a no-look because he, like, looked at him, threw it, and, like, looked away as he threw it. So it's not a true no-look, but it was flashy, and we love flashy, okay? And then Siakam postered Jalen Williams, man. Postered Jalen Williams. Crowd went wild. That was one of the plays of the playoffs. That was a phenomenal play. I thought Mike Breen didn't do it enough justice. I don't know if he has a little bit of a... I don't know, after the Halliburton game winner, he didn't give him a bang because it was a long 2 instead of a 3. And then, like, I listened. You know it's not fair to Mike Breen? That play, you know what's not fair to Eric either? Is that he keeps disappearing.
Bruh.
And then I see him throw his hands up backstage, and it's kind of funny. Um, so I the Portuguese and the Korean announcers on that
Oh, yeah.
play, and then listening to Mike Breen, it's like, man, Mike Breen sounds bored compared to those guys. So I guess it's not fair to Mike Breen. But terrific play. Good to see Halliburton out there, man. I didn't want this to just be like, oh, Halliburton's not going to play, and then the Thunder win by like 20 because Halliburton's not out there, and then it's like just a whimper of an ending. Instead, you're going to have a game 7, man. And listen, I know the Thunder are favored by like 7.5 points right now.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Pacers side of that. I don't think the Pacers are going to get blown out in this game. I don't think this is going to be like game 7 when the Thunder trounced Denver. I think the Pacers are the best matchup for OKC. It's what I said even before this finals when we were talking about who's a tougher matchup for OKC, New York or Indiana. And I was super confident in saying the Indiana Pacers because they can match the energy the Thunder bring. They can match the quickness. They can match some of the offensive runs. And they fly around defensively in the same way. It's kind of weird to think about Indiana as a defensive team, considering last year they were not a good defense. They were pretty much an offense-only team, but their defense has improved a ton. A ton. Big shout out to Andrew Nemhard, who's become a legitimate stopper, and shout out to your guy Aaron Neesmith as well. Ben Shepherd had some decent minutes in this game, had that buzzer beater off the sick, like, tip out, one hand pass. Like, there's just so many fun plays from the Pacers side of things in this game. And I know people don't really like 30-point blowouts. This was a very enjoyable one. You don't see the Thunder get dismantled like this often at all. And the way the Pacers did it was fun to watch.
Yeah, and man, Obi Toppin off the bench, TJ McConnell off the bench. Those guys have been difference makers in the series, and man, it's crazy to watch a team just have guys come in and just up the energy and provide that spark. And Pacers definitely have that. I kind of believe that all the pressure is on the Thunder in Game 7. I think the Pacers, like, obviously they're going to be nervous playing for a title, but I mean, I think the pressure is squarely on the Thunder to get this done. And if it's a tight game, I definitely could see them having that affect their chances to win in a close game. Because, like we talked about, the Pacers have been there and won a ton of close games in this playoffs. They know how to do it. If Halliburton's in the game, he knows how to finish games. And I think unless the Thunder blow them out, this could be a Pacers victory in Game 7.
Yeah. I will say I don't really subscribe to like the pressures on this team or that team in like a Game 7. It's like this is what you played your whole life for both of these teams,
Yeah, but the Pacers, I mean, they didn't have. I mean, of course, the team themselves probably thought they could get to this point, but just about everyone, especially after Game 5, like this series, everyone thought was kind of over with the Halliburton injury and stuff. And then, I mean, most people didn't predict the Pacers to get to the finals. Even like some of the moms and aforementioned girlfriends, wives of the players probably didn't even think they would get this far. So, meanwhile, the Thunder have been like overwhelming favorites in this series, and I don't know. I think if it's a close game, that could play a factor. The Thunder could kind of tense up a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. I think home court advantage has been very real in this series. I know OKC got game 4, Indiana got game 1, but like Indiana was desperate, and with that arena behind them, it was just the energy was insane. They were a force, man. They were a force in this game, and you could kind of tell like midway through the second quarter, like, yeah, this is gonna be Indiana's night. And basketball is kind of a momentum game as well, and I think it's easier to build momentum at home. I think, of course, Game 7 is going to be on the Thunder's side, but we've seen some. The last Game 7 was a road win for the Cavs, so I don't know what's going to happen in Game 7. I expect it to be competitive. I think for the Thunder, they're going to have to get more out of Chet Holmgren. You remember when I said, like, this is probably unfair because he's only in his second year. Of course, he missed his rookie season because he was hurt and then missed some time this year. So Chet's only really played a season and a half, and we're holding him to a super high standard in an NBA Finals on a 1 seed, right? Like, it's probably unfair to him. There's just games where, like, the physicality or the moment seems a little big for him right now, and this was one of those games. Like, he seemed to, I don't know, just shy away at times. Like, there's been stretches in this finals where he's played well and he scored the ball. He had a good first quarter in Game 2, and then kind of like disappeared the rest of the game. He's not playing as well as he normally does in the series. Like, he's kind of struggled, and I think he's the X factor because when he can get it going, he's OKC's just a much tougher team to stop. But also, like, SGA wasn't getting some of his normal regular season calls. I thought the Pacers did a really good job of defending him physically without fouling, at least based on the way the finals are called. And then, of course, Jalen Williams is an X factor, but I just thought the Pacers played physical without fouling. And I think that's what forced a lot of the turnovers. There was a lot of half-court turnovers from the Thunder, and I think that's kind of the key to Game 7 on the road is being able to defend at that level for the Pacers. I think it's easy when you're the desperate team, you're down 3-2, you're at home. It's easy to defend with that level of energy and defend that way. Now can you go do it in a Game 7 on the road? Can you hold Chet Holmgren in check for an entire game just like you did? Because the Thunder have good other guys, but when Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren don't play too well, they are very beatable. They are very beatable. Like, those two guys, when they play really, really well, OKC is almost impossible to beat. So those are the two guys I'm going to be watching. Like, SGA could have 40, but if those two guys struggle, the Thunder can be beaten. So, of course, going to be interesting to watch SGA, the MVP, see what he does in an NBA Finals Game 7. But I think Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, and the Pacers' ability to defend those two in Game 7 is going to be maybe the biggest factor in deciding that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Chet, this was part of the concern about him, being so skinny coming out of college.
And he's put on muscle.
He's put on some,
Still
but
skinny.
I think for him, it's just he's going to have to get that old man weight and strength behind him eventually. And but until he does, I think you're going to see some inconsistencies like he's shown in these playoffs. But yeah, I think the key is definitely to be physical with him because he does not handle that well and is still learning how to handle that. So as physical as you can be without fouling, like you said, I think would bode well for the Pacers. And then, if you can limit Jalen Williams, it's not only to have like a bad game, but just kind of make it so he's not getting going with the shot because then he gets amped up and then he plays harder on defense, stuff like that. So, taking those two guys out of the game like they did tonight could really be the difference.
Yeah. I saw a comment somewhere saying, I hope NBC gets it next year. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how NBC covers things. I think they'll do a good job. I will say, at least ESPN and ABC, at least they've listened in regards to like putting the finals logo on the court and showing lineup introductions. Like, at least they listened a little bit. It wasn't asking for much, so I'm not really going to sit here giving them credit, but at least they did a couple things to make it feel like more than a regular season game. With the superimposing technology, Eric, why can't they like superimpose the finals trophy at half court? Because I know they got rid of it because people were slipping on the sticker, but like they superimpose anything now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they don't do that. Maybe the NBA didn't want them to or something. I don't know.
I don't
But
know.
I don't know why they wouldn't. But
Maybe it's a good thing considering the finals trophy logo that they put up for a quarter. You remember that logo? And it just looked
yeah,
like the lowest res PNG file they could find off Google Images.
yeah.
You'd have to do it over the team's logo. No, you just crop the trophy based on the team's logo and you superimpose it around it. Or you put the team's logo with the trophy and then superimpose that on top of the logo so it looks normal. I don't know. Maybe it'd be too big and it'd look weird.
But like, why can't they have a court for the finals that has it? It's not a sticker. It's like painted in the court.
I don't know. Not enough time, I guess.
Like, well, like Tristan says, they do it for the cup games, and those.
Yeah, but they have a ton of time to prep those.
But you have like two. You have two home games, right? So you're doing it for two games in the finals.
Yeah, but they like prep those for months. So I don't know
Well,
how long it takes.
Why can't the NBA have a finals court?
I mean, you'd have to paint it with the. Do you mean like without the team branding?
Well, I mean, you could have everything but the team branding, and then add that later. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like if you do the trophy behind the logo, like you're basically painting parts of the trophy depending on what the half court logo is. So it'd be like catered to the team court. So, I don't know. But like today's technology, does it really take that long to paint a freaking trophy on the court? I don't know. It seems weird to me. It seems like they could, but I don't know. The NBA. I wanted to talk about this on an earlier stream. I think after game one, and I forgot to. The NBA has to do a better job of like covering teams throughout the regular season, like the NFL and even MLB does, compared to just the Stephen A. Smith solitaire BS nonsense that we get. But then also just like pull out all the bells and whistles for the production and the appearance of these games. Pull it out. Don't clip that. You know what I'm saying, though? Like,
Yeah.
game one pissed me off because they did nothing. They didn't even have the finals logo. They didn't show
How do you
intros.
mess up that bad? Like, I don't know. It's crazy.
But, like, this is the thing with... I don't know. I'm starting to dislike Adam Silver as a commissioner because this is the type of stuff I feel like he struggles with. I know it's, like, on the broadcast and stuff and all that, but...
well, I mean, NBC announced a long time ago that they were going to show every introduction on their games. So, I mean, they figured it out, like, but yeah, who the heck wants to hear like Screamin' A and Kendrick Perkins talk more than watch the intros? Like, I don't know. They did. I recently saw like some old NBC showed some like hype videos, like when they like at the beginning of their broadcast for the finals or whatever.
Yeah.
It just like the editing and things you can do with video is like so much better now, but like they did such a better job of like hyping up the game and getting like Rich can tell you stories about watching like the finals and just getting chills like watching just the intro to the game, and
I've seen some of those old intros. They're good.
And so like what happened to that? Like why do we have to listen to Kendrick Perkins talk? Like it just doesn't make any sense. But.
Yeah, I don't get it. I just read a comment in the chat. Serious question: would you guys swap Shepard for Scoot? And I was thinking he was talking about Ben Shepard. I was gonna be like, dude. And then he said third pick for third pick. He's talking about Reed Shepard. Okay, yeah. Like, I thought you were talking about Ben Shepard for a second, man. I was ready to start paying attention to chat. But I would not do that. I would not do that. You guys know I'm a Scoot believer, man. I'm a Pacers believer. I'm a Scoot believer. The Pacers are one win away from a freaking championship, which is insane. And Scoot is one spot away from starting.
I was like, Ben Shepherd wasn't a third pick. So confused.
Shout out to Clearly a Bot member for 44 months says Game 7. Yeah, Game 7 on Sunday. We'll have the breakdown on Monday, and then we'll have a draft preview stream Tuesday night going live around our normal time, and then we'll have the draft Wednesday and Thursday. If we have a trade, maybe the day before the draft, which is possible, I think we'll have a trade on Monday or Tuesday next week. Not necessarily for the Blazers, just for like the NBA. There will be maybe a KD trade, or there will be something. But like if the Blazers make a trade, we'll go live as soon as possible, of course. But yeah, draft on Wednesday. We're less than a week away. It's kind of wild how there's only 2 days in between the end of the finals and the draft.
Well, 3, I guess.
No, because it's Sunday, so then the only 2 days in between are Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah. There's only
so two out of the 4 previous drafts since Joe Cronin took over have been his big trade in the offseason has taken place within 24 hours of the draft.
You say his big trade in the offseason like it's not like his only big trades ever, basically. Like that's when he likes to make his trades. Outside of that, he doesn't want to do anything.
He made the deadline deals, to be fair. Like, I mean,
who did he?
Like the returns. We traded Josh Hart. We traded CJ. We traded Norm.
When has he ever bought at the deadline? He's only sold at the deadline. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying like those are still big trades.
True.
Whether they're buying or selling, but like yeah.
But like I was looking at this. Okay, let me find it because I typed it out. Shout out to D. Eli Hanna with a $5 donation. Says draft night trade. Grizz send 4 Bane picks and Cole Anthony for Denny. Blazers send Tamani and 16th pick to 76ers for the third pick. What say you? At least we're not getting screwed in those deals. It's like not terrible considering we're trading Denny and Tamani. Like I would not trade Tamani for that package. I don't like the options at 3, but that's probably like just the biased Blazer fan answer. Yeah, like that's probably the biased Blazer fan answer. Like there's gonna be a star available at 3, and it's like, yeah, obviously you should trade Tamani for a star, a legitimate star, but it's like I'm not confident enough in choosing the right player at 3.
Maybe if this was next year's draft, but then Philly wouldn't be trading that pick.
Yeah. We're all going to say no because we like Denny and we like Tamani and we like that we improved last season. We don't want to go back to being bad, but like value-wise, neither of those trades are bad. So nobody should be saying hell no. It's basically just like we like our guys. We would rather just keep our guys. It's not really a value thing because that's insane value for Denny and that's you're getting the 3rd pick in the draft for Tamani. Like
we finally have 2 forwards that we can have for years to come, and 5 to 7 years. Like, why? I don't know, man. I mean, like you said, I mean, it would make sense if we were trying to maximize just our asset pool and stuff like that. But like, I don't.
You could make the argument that it'd make it more likely for us to win a championship in the next decade, though. So.
Yeah, maybe.
Given the way they're going about this rebuild.
I mean, at this point, we're not taking Ace at 3, right? So we're taking.
I don't want Ace at 3. Blazer fans are like, ooh, Ace might fall to 11. Like, yeah, right. But also, even if he's there at 11, there's part of me that still does not want him.
Yeah.
We have to talk about that. But first, let me talk about this. Then we'll talk about that. Then we'll talk about real prospects. Okay, so the last 6 transaction windows. Here's what Cronin has done outside of the Dame/Drew trades, which a lot of people claim he didn't want to do but was forced to do, so it wasn't of his own volition. Right? That's what a lot of people say. Even though we beg to differ. But outside of that, Here's what he's done the last 6 transaction windows, okay? 2023 deadline, he traded Josh Hart for Cam Reddish and a wasted pick on Chris Murray, and traded seconds for Matisse Thybulle. Okay, like, pretty meaningless. 2023 draft, no trades. 2023 free agency, signed Moses Brown. 2024 trade deadline, traded a top 55 protected second-round pick for Delano Banton. And now he's probably going to leave in free agency. 2024 draft, traded Brogdon for Avdia. Okay, there's a legit move. 2024 free agency, did nothing. 2025 trade deadline, did nothing. So the only meaningful move he's made in the last 6 transaction windows outside of the trade that he was forced to do was the Avdia trade. Outside of that, it's like Cam Reddish, Matisse Thybulle, Delano Banton, and nothing else. Just thought that was interesting.
My dog is really going crazy in the water. What was... I'm trying to remember the previous off season.
Traded for Jeremy Grant, right?
In 22?
Yeah.
I thought that was 21 for some reason.
No, it's 2022.
No, it was 22.
Yeah.
No, he played 22, 23. Yeah. Okay. But free agency, he did what? That was the Gary Payton.
Free agency in 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he actually did a couple things 2022 off season, but since then it's we're taking out the Dame Drew trade, of course, because that's the big move. But that wasn't a part of his plan, and I just think that's a crazy amount of inactivity considering the first half of that he was trying super duper hard to build a contender around Dame and go into super duper win now mode, and it was going to hurt how aggressive they were. Paraphrasing, kind of making fun of some comments, but that was basically their attitude. And then the second half of that, they've had veterans blocking young guys as they're rebuilding. That's a crazy amount of inactivity for being in 2 completely different modes during that span. So, with the Dame Drew trades being kind of the separator going from one mode to the other.
Man, I just... Thinking about the Gary Payton signing, I keep going back to what if we would have signed Bruce Brown and we didn't tell him that he's not a winner or whatever we told him.
Yeah, whatever reason he was mad at us for.
Why did we choose Gary Payton? Because
we chose an injured Gary Payton instead of him.
Yeah, either we didn't know he needed core surgery, or we did.
It's how do you not know? Do a physical.
How do you not do a physical? Yeah. So, because he was injured in that playoff run too.
Yeah.
But that was the year we got off to the 10-4 start, or whatever. And I know Trevin's going to say we're better than that earlier. So why do we always say 10-4? But and that was without.
How were we better? Because we were 4-0.
Something like that. But
10-4 is better than 4-0. At least considering we've been below 500 teams, so we went 6-4 after that. That's it's more of a sample.
Yeah, Tristan says 9-3, which is technically better than 10-4. But
true. Okay, 9-3.
Anyways,
well, we say 10-4 because they were playing well up until that point, and then they fell off a cliff after 10-4. Yeah,
but I just keep thinking, we got hit with some injuries or whatever, lost some depth. But if we had Bruce Brown on top of that roster already, and we went into that season with him playing right away, I think we probably still get off to a good start, and we have a little bit more depth to maintain.
Yeah,
everything. So
that season could have went completely differently.
And then the whole course of history might be differently because we might go forward at the trade deadline instead of trade away Josh, and
we might be facing the Pacers right now. Who knows?
Yeah,
I'm being a little sarcastic.
Crazy, but it's weird how one move like that could be the difference. One bad signing, and Bruce Brown was right there wanting to accept it, and we basically told him he wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And he still held that grudge. After winning a championship, that was the first thing he thought of after winning a championship was
Yeah.
to say something about it. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, just please do something this summer. Like, can we at least sign a free agent better than
Yeah.
Moses Brown or something?
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's funny because I think there's a lot of people that are actually expecting a Grant trade, maybe a little bit more than they should. So, I was on Blazers court side on the radio, my second hour long radio segment. So I'm kind of hopefully making a little headway there. Shout out to my guy Chris Burkhardt. Um, and one of the things I said was I think it's more likely Ant gets an extension than a trade, right? And as far as Greg goes, it's like you're probably gonna have to attach an asset to him. Is that worth it? And then I was listening to Chad. I actually got to meet Chad on Monday. Cool guy. Apparently we're like neighbors. We live very close to each other. So, but I was listening to him today, man, and he was like, "Yeah, I'd be shocked if there was an Ant extension." And then talking about like Jeremy Grant, like being the number one priority to trade, and it's like I feel like we're setting ourselves up for disappointment here. I really do. Like in the number two priority, according to him, was to trade Ant, and I agree. Just I'd maybe flip the order just because I would not prioritizing trading someone you'd have to attach an asset to, and I think that's the case with Grant. If you can trade him for an expiring, like he is number one priority to trade, absolutely. But if you have to attach an asset to him, like it's probably better just to ride it out, even though that's a mess. Like the Jeremy Grant situation's a mess. Like I know you'd probably order things differently, but at the end of the day, it's like no matter what we talk about in terms of like making moves and what's prioritized, I still think there's a very realistic chance that none of Ayton, Grant, and Simons are moved. I would actually bet on that before I bet on one of them getting moved at this point.
yeah.
And I would love to be wrong, and I would love to lose my hypothetical money over it. But I'm not expecting anything.
There's a 3-for-3 rumor involving Simons from an insider, with 3 coming back and 1 getting cut. But I have no idea what that means.
And who is said insider as well? Please share some more because maybe we missed a rumor. That's a legitimate rumor. I'd love to talk about some rumors, but need more context. Who we talking about?
See, I think if you just look at it like Jeremy getting rid of his contract would be ideal. I think that's your number one priority. Just like in a vacuum, if you could get something for Jeremy, or get off his contract with an expiring or something, I think I think that's the priority. The problem is, like you mentioned, it's probably not realistic to make it happen. So you're probably either stuck with him or having to give up an asset, and then so yeah, like you still have to make some other sort of move. But in my opinion, yeah, it's Jeremy, like his contract situation.
Yeah.
If you can go into next offseason with potentially Simons and Ayton off the books, even if they just leave in free agency, and then you have Jeremy for an expiring, and you, like you've mentioned several times, just maximize your cap space next summer. At least that's like a plan, you know?
Yeah. So Case 12 says the guy who shared that info, his name is Goldbum. I just think that's a funny name. Insider
like a
Gold
nickname or
Bum.
something.
But okay, I know people will be like, "Oh, Real GM, what is that?" Laugh at that. Real GM has like a pretty nerdy, and I say that as a compliment. I'm one of the nerds. I don't post over there, but I'm nerdy in this way. Okay, they have like a nerdy like trades and transactions forum with a bunch of people that know the CPA like we do. Like, they have like a pretty hardcore like in-depth forum. And the commenter in chat says this guy knew about the Denny trade a few weeks before it happened. So, like, take it with a grain of salt, of course. But apparently this guy, this internet poster that apparently has a track record over on Real GM, says that Ant's getting traded in a 3-for-3 trade. But with who and with what? Because, I mean, anybody could say something like that. So, and then we got another comment in chat. Says the other guy, I don't know who the other guy is. The other guy swears no asset is needed to move Jeremy and that they won't anyways. The Blazers would absolutely move Jeremy if no asset is needed to attach to him.
No, if you read who he's not, that's who he's referring to as saying that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But like as far as Anthony goes, we have you and he who must not be named on one side, and we got Gold Bum on the other. Chat, who do we think? What a matchup. And I'm just sitting here. I'm sitting on your side, I guess, because I think it's more likely he stays than goes.
Man, that extension's going to hurt a lot of people. I'm sorry, Tari.
What's the number?
I don't know. It doesn't matter for you?
Kinda, but also, man, I hope you're wrong. I hope.
Yeah.
I hope you were led astray.
What? So if you, let's just say hypothetically you signed for like $20 million a year, you'd be fine with that?
Trade him. Trade him. Why are we still doing this?
Why does it say it matters?
Because it wouldn't be as bad if he signed for like $35 million a year because Emmanuel quickly makes 32. So like, it would hurt less. Pain is still painful, right? Yeah. Either way, any extension is going to be painful. The degrees of pain are possibly different there. You know what I mean? Because at least if it's $20 million, like, oh, maybe they'll justify bringing him off the bench behind Scoot and Sharplog term with that money amount. Probably not, but so you know what's funny is the other podcaster that's being referred to in chat has said that he would criticize the front office if they made no moves.
But he's also said that before, and then it doesn't happen.
I'm just making it known. He will absolutely move the goalposts. He has made it known. I wish, dude. If I was Trevin, if I was petty, I'd just save clips. If I was petty, I'd just save clips because he's basically said as much as like he'd be at the front of the crowd criticizing doing nothing this offseason. But the goalposts will move. The goalposts will absolutely move. Like, I hate how people will set a precedent and then move the goalposts just because they don't want to criticize the front office. I've made it very clear what I think they should do. Either they're going to do it and I'm going to praise them, or they're not going to do it and I'm not going to praise them. Or maybe they do it in the middle and I'm kind of like, okay, this is okay off season like I was last year, right? So, yeah. I don't know where to take this conversation. We're just kind of interacting with chat. Tyler J says, right, they always say they're going to be critical and then they go totally against the crowd on the front office's side. Yeah. Basically, it's like, oh, they have to do something this offseason. Then the organization doesn't do anything, and then it's basically like, the organization has a reason for why they didn't do anything. And it's like, oh, see, that makes sense. They had this reason, this one reason. And that's why they didn't. And nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going on. Or, you know, the casual fan doesn't understand their reasoning for doing absolutely nothing. But they had a reason, and their reason makes sense. And then they parrot the reason and insult the fans and act like the fans aren't smart enough to understand just how smart it was for them to do absolutely nothing. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. So, we'll see. We will see. But, they need him. It'll be even more awkward next year if they don't make a move. I'll say that. Even more awkward. You can't start great. Here's the thing, Eric. If they run it back, what do you think the starting lineup's going to be next year? Because part of me thinks they're still going to start Grant. But I don't know how the hell they can.
I think, and this is stupid, but
It's all stupid.
I think it's Ant, Tamani, Grant, Denny, Aiden. Because that's what the lineup was for good chunks of this season when everyone was healthy.
If we go... I think the cronies... that's going to break the cronies, Eric. That's going to break the cronies. That's going to break the Chauncey defenders.
Wait.
That's going to be the ultimate test.
According to Joe Cronin, he does not interfere with any lineup decisions, nor would ever tell Chauncey who to start or who to play. Yeah.
So it won't be Joe's fault, even though he's like empowering Chauncey to make these very decisions that he's making.
And Chauncey will just say that he likes the lineup length and that he wants to see more from Scoot and Sharp before they're starters.
If they go coming out of a rebuild, if they go into year 4 for Sharp and year 3 for Scoot, bringing them both off the bench still,
yeah,
like I'll be raging before the first tip-off of the season. From the time the starting lineup gets to announce to the opening tip, I'll already be in peak form. Man.
I mean, just think if we kept Jeremy and traded for like Cam Johnson or something, and then like Scoot and Sharp are like our 7th and 8th men. They're not even our 6th.
Yeah, like
because that's definitely possible too. Like, you know.
It's just insane. Well, they still end up being like a bottom 10 offense. And their highest upside offensive guards is supposed to be the backcourt of the future. Sits and rots on the bench. Like, the offense was statistically, I saw this on Twitter, the offense, I think this was for part of the season. So I don't know what the defining line was here for this stat, but it was like the team was 6 points better offensively with Scoot on the floor than with him off of it. I think it might have been like after Scoot turned 21 or something like that. I don't know. And it was like worse with Ant on the floor. Hold on. I actually can find the tweet. Let me find this tweet. Because I thought it was
for the whole season.
I don't know.
I thought that was for the whole season because it took into account. I mean, like all the analytics are skewed because of both the Blazers and Anthony and Denny getting off to a rough start because like that lineup, like
Scoot got off to a rough start too, though. The whole team got off to a rough start.
True, but I think if you look at it post January 1, I think it actually flips to the opposite. Trevin might know. I think he.
Yeah, I found what I'm referencing here. So this article says, after finding a groove in the second half of last season, Portland's offense thrived with Henderson on the court. And the stats align with the observations. According to on-off numbers from Cleaning the Glass, the Blazers' offensive rating was 6.9 points higher per 100 possessions when Henderson was on the court, even though he shot slightly worse from the three-point line. Henderson's plus 6.9 offensive rating bump was the highest on the team, trailed by Denny Avdia's plus 6.6. For comparison's sake, the Blazers were 3.6 points worse per 100 possessions when Simons was on the court. So either this is full season or second half of the season.
I'm pretty sure that's full season because, man, where is Trevin? I think he did the research of this and figured it out. But
yeah, in like the case you can make for like why that is like Scoot makes teammates better. Like Scoot's a true point guard, where Simons is more of a combo. I don't know. I mean, that's just another stat to point to. Like, yeah, the team might be better with this young guy, especially like assuming these young players are going to improve. Klingon going into year 2, Scoot going into year 3, Sharp going into year 4. Like, if they don't lean into that improvement, like, even if those guys do improve, if Sharp and Scoot are like the 7th and 8th man, like, is it even going to be apparent that they improved? Is it even going to be clear that they've improved? Are they going to get enough of a chance to build a rhythm and, like, show the work they've put in? It's just a mess, Eric. It's just an absolute mess. They need to clean it up this offseason. The last thing I want to hear is, like, we're going into game 1 and both those guys are coming off the bench and, the Blazers can still be patient with them. Never mind that it's a contract year for Shane Sharp. It's year 4 for Shane Sharp. Never mind that it's year 3 for Scoot Henderson. The Blazers can still be patient for him. They have to showcase Jeremy Grant so they can trade him. If we waste another season trying to showcase Jeremy Grant, when showcasing him last year, all it did was completely tank his value. And if he still struggles this year, it's just going to completely confirm that he's falling off a cliff as he is over the age of 30. If they waste another season doing that, there's going to be some epic rants, man. Like we could be like 16 and 19 and I still would not like it. You know what I mean? Oh, but we're almost 500. We might be in the 9th seed. We might be in a play-in. It's more important to lead into your young core and lean into their improvement than it is to almost win 50% of your games because you're playing Jeremy Grant a bunch of minutes and playing a 3-forward starting lineup.
Whatever happens, showcasing should not be a part of this season.
Yeah, but
like whoever. So even if they keep everyone, run it back, they should play who's ever playing best and who's ever showing the most and who's ever winning games. Like they should play that. If that's their goal, that's how they should be. There should be no predetermined rotations. There should be no like we need to showcase Jeremy 35 minutes to get his value back up, crap like that. Like he can get his value back playing 20 minutes off the bench for all I care. Like they need to do what Chauncey said was the key to turning around last season, and that was not caring about any of these guys' egos or contracts or name on the back of their jersey and playing the players who played the best. And I know that wasn't perfect and he didn't necessarily do that, but in theory that should be the way moving forward that this team is handled, and regardless of who's on the roster or not.
That would imply not automatically making DeAndre Ayton the starter going into next season. So
we're already ruined that. Like,
we're already cooked there. But the problem is too is like, for what you're saying, if there ends up being games where like Scoot is 4 for 7 with 9 points off the bench in like 20 minutes, and Anthony Simons is like 8 for 21 and has 22 points in 35 minutes, is it going to be clear enough for Chauncey to be like, oh, we should start playing Scoot more? That's the problem. Even though like 4 for 7 is much better than 8 for 21, Ant being a volume scorer, he's going to get his like 21, 22 points, and I feel like Chauncey's going to stare at that like, we need that scoring, so he's going to play a lot more minutes than Scoot. That's the whole point of like clearing a pathway for Scoot and people wanting Scoot to prove it behind Ant in order to take over like his starting role and that sort of stuff is like I could see there being games where like on a permanent basis like Scoot's better, but because Ant is getting so many minutes and it's just a volume score, like it's not enough for Scoot to actually supplant him at all. And we saw multiple games last year where Scoot was playing much better than Ant and would not finish games and would still be sitting there with like 22 minutes at the end of a good game, and Ant was not shooting well and still playing 35 minutes. So I think that setup is just broken. It's just broken. And I think if they go into next season with that setup, it's going to continue to be broken.
I mean, even if I want to keep everyone or like the three guards, I completely agree with you that it should not, that kind of stuff should not happen moving forward. If Scoot's playing well enough to earn a bigger role, he should absolutely be given that. And
I just think it's tougher to evaluate when you have that minutes difference and like volume difference, and you know what I mean. Like, I think if Scoot had Ant's role and Ant had Scoot's role, Ant would not make it clear he's better than Scoot at all. And that's kind of the problem. It's like I think whichever one is starting is going to probably look better, or like look just good enough to justify how many minutes they're getting.
Yeah, I think any of the three should be able to not use that as an excuse and thrive in whatever role they're given.
But it's not an excuse for lack of production. You can produce in that role and it still not be enough for who's running the team. Like,
yeah, but that's once again a problem with the coaching.
Yeah, but that's the reality we're in. Like, because when we talk about like, oh, what the Blazers are gonna do, like you bring up like their point of view in regards to like moves when we start talking about what they should do versus what they're going to do, right? And I kind of feel like we are flipped in regards to like this conversation. The Blazers are not going to be able to evaluate things well, in my opinion, with Ant getting 35 minutes a game and Scoot getting like 26, 27. Or 25, or however many he gets when he's coming off the bench behind Ant. And I don't think it's like, I think Scoot could be playing better than Ant and still have too many games where he's playing like 14 minutes less, where he's playing 21 minutes in a game he plays well. And it's like, what else is he supposed to do? He's playing well. It's not an excuse. Like, him getting his minutes cut is not like an excuse for his lack of production if he's producing in those minutes and just not being given more.
This is why I get frustrated with this conversation. I absolutely agree. He should not have his minutes cut. But you have three guards. That's all you have is three guards, depending on what happens. They should all be able to play 33, 34 minutes a game. And like there should be no discrepancy between the three of them, regardless of who's coming off the bench or who's doing what. They all should get plenty of time to play a certain role. They should be given, like Scoot should be given more on-ball reps than he had last year. Anthony should play more off-ball than he did last year. They should all be getting 30-plus minutes a game. There shouldn't be any of them, unless, like, I mean, if Scoot's playing way better than Anthony, he should be getting more minutes than him. If Anthony's playing well and Scoot's not, then maybe there's some games where he doesn't play as much. But overall, for this team, if the three guards are still in the lineup, there's no reason they can't all get 30-plus minutes a game, and there shouldn't be. The things you're saying should not be an issue moving forward. That it should just be like no one should be limited on their chances to blossom just based on the rotations and stuff like that.
In an ideal world, yes, but like in the context of what should the Blazers do, in the context of what should Joe Cronin do, especially if Joe Cronin doesn't have any input into lineup decisions and just lets Chauncey roam free with whatever the hell he wants to do in terms of minutes. As Joe Cronin, you should know that Chauncey is gonna struggle with this three-guard lineup, and you should have the wherewithal to
But
Make it easier on him.
But that's, I don't know. That to me is, then we should all be critical of Chauncey's rotations like we have been. Like that's.
Yeah, but also you can also as the GM you can simplify things as well. You don't have to have Ant and Scoot and Sharp. You don't have to have all three of those guys. You can trade Ant and get a shooter off the bench that plays off ball and like maybe is a little better defensively, so you can build towards that defensive identity, and you can start Scoot and you can start Sharp. Like that's very viable.
But
like if they keep Ant, like I'll criticize Chauncey. Of course I'll criticize Chauncey for mishandling minutes. I did it all last year. You know what I mean? But also it's like, what's the plan here? At some point you're going to have to decide between two of the three. Like, why do you want to wait forever to make that decision when it's like, just give Scoot the keys. Let him run the offense. Like, especially if the offense was like better with him statistically last year. Of course, there's a bunch of context that goes into those stats. So, like, you know, I don't want to not acknowledge that. But, yeah, like, we're going to find out in a week, I think. Like, maybe they trade Ant after the draft. But I feel like if they're going to trade Ant, it's going to be before the draft. It's going to be like Brogdon. And if they extend him, it's like, that's a vote of confidence for Ant. I don't know. Like, if they pay him a ton of money, do they want Ant to end up being the third best guard?
I mean, we keep ignoring the elephant in the room. They do not believe Scoot is the starting point guard yet. They do not believe that. The coaching staff doesn't believe it. The front office doesn't believe that. If they did, Anthony would not be on this roster. So they do not fully believe that. They are still hopeful that that will be the case. But as of this moment right now, this front office and coaching staff does not believe Scoot gives them a better chance to win, or that he is for sure their long-term option at starting point guard. And that doesn't mean I agree with that. That's not what I'm saying. But it is clear based on their actions, especially if Anthony is retained after this offseason, when you have multiple people saying he has to go or whatever, it is absolutely telling this type of stuff they do with Scoot that they don't fully believe in him for some reason.
Yeah, so that brings up two problems. One is they don't believe in their own player development, because if you don't believe you can develop the guy you drafted third overall and took strides going into year two, if you don't believe that you can develop him into starting point guard this year, what does that say about your player development? Number one. Number two, I also think that's just a player evaluation, a little bit of a player evaluation problem. They evaluated Grant as being worth, $32 million a year and then being worth 2 firsts. They supposedly wanted an unprotected first for Robert Williams III, who is like perpetually injured. They gave Normal Way for free. You know what I mean? Like, there's been a little bit of a track record here of this front office having a little bit of a player evaluation issue. This front office / coaching staff. So, like, there's just problems. Like, at the end of the day, it's not a perfect situation.
I mean, they did find Denny, or did.
Yeah, and then they brought him off the bench for
Timani and
for Jeremy. Then they brought Denny off the bench behind Grant, and it ended up working out. But like, yeah, like, so it was the right move, maybe. But I mean, they also took Chris Murray and Ryan Rupert over Timani. So like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like we've talked about. I just want them to have a clear path. Yeah. And it just doesn't feel like they have a clear path. If they run it back, if they have the same status quo, they're still not choosing a clear path. They're just choosing like, oh, we started this rebuild and then we're going to do literally nothing.
You get what I'm saying, though, right? If they had your belief in Scoot, I don't think this, like we're even talking about this anymore. Like it's already been solved, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I could
I mean,
see them
we
believing
just
in
heard.
Scoop but wanting to keep Ant because the packages you're getting for Ant is just going to make you slightly worse and they want to make a plan.
I mean, we just heard a few weeks ago that they were talking about bringing in CP3 to mentor Scoot in his third year. Like, like who
I mean,
knows if
Dame
that
had a
was
mentor when he was at an older age for like 2-3 years too. I don't think that's a bad thing for Scoot.
No, I know, but I just it seems to me like so. Someone, I think it was Case 12, said, "Why didn't we just take a men then? Why did we even bother taking Scoot?" Well,
They were scared not to take Scoot.
yeah, they were.
Now they're scared to start him, apparently.
They were scared to death that Scoot was going to be a superstar, and that they would look awful, and they would look terrible if they traded that third pick, and it was Scoot. So that's why they didn't even take phone calls when they were on the clock. Yeah, because
And 2 years later, they're scared to start him, Eric. What does that say about them? Like, you know?
yeah,
Something went wrong there if you were scared that he was going to become a superstar, so you took him third overall and didn't even take offers for the pick when you were trying to build around Dame, and 2 years later, you're not wanting to start him.
obviously did not have the greatest rookie year, and that kind of squashed a lot of expectations.
Yeah, I just think his year 2 was fine for a year 2. Like, I think, given how much... of course, it's not saying much that he improved over his rookie year because his rookie year was bad. But like his rate of improvement from his rookie to sophomore year, like maybe he wasn't ready to start his sophomore year, but when he started, he was good. Okay, like he was fine when he started. You should expect him to improve some more, and you should lean into that, being like, okay, we expect him to be able to start this year. And listen, there's going to be some growing pains as a starter, but like. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. If you lean to the young core and they're like, they pop off and you make a playoff spot, great. If they struggle and you get a top draft pick, well, it turns out you probably needed that top draft pick if they struggle next year. So, like, it's not a bad situation to lead into. But, I mean, anyway. Like,
Miles Barnes says, were they scared or were they genuinely convinced of the hype? I mean, those both hand in hand.
But like you don't draft somebody because of what other people think. You know what I mean? If you don't care about what other people think. But yeah, this is like where there's an issue. Like assuming that's true, they're scared to pass on him. Like, scared of him becoming a star, so they had to take him. They're making decisions based on what other people think, not what they think. So they don't have enough confidence in what they think then. And now I don't know. Like, it's just all kind of silly. At the end of the day, it's like, if you leaned into Scoot starting and he like doesn't improve next year, he's still like, I don't know. Last year, I thought he was start worthy for a greater than 50% of the season. Like, it doesn't take much more improvement for him to be like very start worthy, in my opinion. If he's not start worthy next year, that means he probably took a step back or didn't improve at all. You got bigger problems at that point. And like, keeping Ant doesn't mean those problems are solved. Like, you just don't have enough upside and enough talent on your team then in that scenario. But also at the end of the day, it's like, if there's any chance Sharp doesn't start in year 4, like, that's also ludicrous.
Especially if it's Grant starting over.
Yeah, like both those guys should be starting. I know I'm focusing on Scoop, but all this applies to Sharp too. That's the backcourt, that's the upside, that's the guys that you expect to take a step. And it's like Chauncey talks about, Sharp just wanted to continue what he did at the end of last season. Well, at the end of last season, he had the ball in his hands a lot, and he was a starting guard and like a big part of the offense. He kind of, which is what I also want for Scoop. But how does he continue where he left off if his role doesn't continue where it left off? And he's being brought off the bench. Because here's the thing. We talk about like, oh yeah, they should be able to play all the guards like 33 minutes a game. Well, if you're playing 3 forwards, you're playing a forward at a guard spot. That's going to limit the minutes for the guards, like naturally. So this long-winded conversation is basically like they can't start Grant next year if they keep him. Unless they trade Ant and then start Scoot and have Sharp off the bench, but that's still also a disaster. And it's not like you can start Grant and start Sharp at like point guard if you trade Ant, you know what I mean? So it's like the only way starting Grant works out is if you trade one of the young guards. But if you're trading one of the young guards and starting Jeremy Grant, like what the hell are you doing? Because that team's not going to be that good, number one, and you're trading your young guards for what? There is no reality where you can start Jeremy Grant next season.
What if Chauncey says he's already wrote it in Sharpie that he's the starter?
All right, who's your bench, Chauncey? Who are you not starting, man? Who are you not starting? Like, there is.
What if he benched Tamati or Denny?
There's no way. There is no way. There's no way he gets away with that. There's no way he gets away with that. If we're starting Grant next year, we right. Yeah, like there's no way they can start Jeremy Grant next year. So this is where I've talked about this. I've talked about this, and I told this to Chris too. This team's going to be really fun to cover this year because it's like all these narratives, I think, that are coming to a head. Like, all these narratives are going to get to the point where, like, something has to budge. It's like an earthquake, right? Like, tectonic plates, they build up all that tension, and then at some point something has to slip. This is the year where it's like, you can't. You can't have the status quo, and you can't keep doing that. Like, something has to change, and if nothing changes, there's gonna be problems. Like, it's gonna be a disaster. Like, the best case scenario, if they have the status quo, is Jeremy Grant comes off the bench, whatever. The problem is, I already know a big portion of this fan base will justify anything they do as long as they win like 40 games and make the play-in. Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what they do. Doesn't matter how it affects the long term as long as they win 40 games this year. Which is silly, in my opinion, but because that's basically going all in on the play-in. Can't go all in on the play-in.
I mentioned this before, but I did hear that they'd be fine if Scoot and Anthony were like the guards moving forward too. Like I don't know. For some reason, I get this. This isn't based on that, but I get this funny feeling like because they're going to have to make a decision on Sharp that might lean them towards like him being the, I wouldn't say they're like purposely like trying to get a better contract or whatever, but we have felt that way about certain players in the past, like when they're coming up on a contract, like they don't play as much or something, that they like, are they trying to limit his value like in a contract or whatever? Because that might be a reason for them. Like, I'm not saying it's a good reason, but that might, like, if Sharp came off the bench, they might be thinking, oh, well, like, we'll wait till he signs a contract to let him break out or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I'll summarize this is we should not be able to repetitively have hour-long debates about this. It should be a 10-second conversation. Yeah, the starting lineup is Scoot, Sharp, Denny, Tamani, and Klingon. They're going to build out the bench and go from there and see what happens. And a conversation. Like, and it's that simple. It could be that simple. Instead, it's like so many different facets and like, what? It's such a conversation, and it shouldn't be to me. Like, we're talking about 60-minute conversations instead of 10-second ones. let's have a
So the
little
11th pick.
20-minute conversation about the 11th pick or 30-minute. So what I want to do here, I want to bring up draft targets. I just want to list out like draft targets in this range the Blazers might take. Okay. We're not going to talk trade up. We're not going to talk trade down. This is the 11th pick. They stay at 11. Who were all the names that they might take? And I think me and you can toss out names so we can go every other. And you can toss out the first name.
I mean, the first name for me is Igor Demon. I just think there's too much smoke there. Now, I did get a message from one Taylor Packer the other day saying, this is right after we had that stream about how Gavoni just mocked Demon to us in every mock draft recently. And he said, did you see his latest mock draft? He had
Jakob.
I think it was Jakob Jonas going to us, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, is he trying to throw us off? Or what? But it turned out on that particular one, him and Jeremy Woo alternated picks, and Woo picked
I was wondering
the Blazers.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, and then Demon was picked a couple picks later.
13.
So it wasn't Gavoni making that pick for the Blazers. So it just explains that. So I still think it's Demon. And so from what I understand, the Blazers look at trades and draft picks completely differently. Draft picks, they draft for, I mean, this doesn't make sense with the Chris Murray pick still, but pretty much every one of their other picks has been for upside or potential, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, potential that they never want to lean into, by the way. They always want to run away from it, but go on.
Yeah. I mean, we don't talk about this enough. I mean, I guess we do talk about it, but like, I mean, you drafted Klingon to be your long-term starting center too. Like, what are you waiting for? Just making him the starting center.
And expiring. Yeah. I do expect Klingon to be a starter by year 3.
Yeah.
At least. But also, I expected Scoot to be a starter by year 3, so I don't know, man. How far can they push it?
With Demon, it's simply they like his playmaking ability. They like his passing. They like his obviously his size, being able to handle the rock at that size, and then they, along with a lot of teams, think that his jump shot is way better than he's shown. I don't know if he cleaned up some mechanic stuff or what, but I guess he wowed people with his shooting in a private workout at the combine, and they've been intrigued with him ever since. And so just the combination of size and passing ability, and most NBA executives think he's gonna be at least average on the defensive end as well. So, and if let him cake says he's not the best passer in the draft. I mean, it's definitely debatable. There's a couple other guys that I wouldn't have an issue saying that about either, but
yeah, I mean, this guy also said he's terrible. Listen, if you think Demon's a terrible prospect, I feel like you can't see the forest for the trees. He's a project.
He's definitely boom or bust. I could see a scenario where, he's just like the Thomas Satoranskis of the world, where they're supposed to be like a forward that can handle the ball and do stuff like a point guard, but maybe it just doesn't ever develop into like a really good version of that. Maybe it's just an average version, and then it doesn't really. I mean, that's just like an average or below average player.
He could be Satoransky. He also could be Andrei Karolinko.
Right. Yeah.
Like 6'9" with passing ability and the potential to be like a solid enough ball handler and shooter. 6'9" guys that can dribble, shoot, pass, and then also be okay defensively. is a very valuable archetype. It's a very valuable archetype. He's young. I think when people hate on Demon, they are way too focused on like what he is right now instead of what he could be. Yeah. I think they're getting too focused on what he is right now, and what he could be is a completely, like, he's a project. He's an upside guy. He's going to take some development, but he has some traits that you don't really teach and that most 6'9" guys don't have. So the stuff that he needs to get better at, you can teach. You can develop. That's the whole point about him.
Yeah, the Kirilenko thing, Kirilenko was like super physical. So like, I don't know if he'll ever be that kind of player, but
he needs to get stronger.
But see, this is where it becomes weird for the Blazers, because like every other thing they're doing is going to be to maximize their chances of making the playoffs. But this pick, from what I understand, is that they see the pick as still their one, like, oh, let's just take a risk and swing for upside, like even if it's a project. So like if Demon is the pick, I don't expect him to have much of a role this season. I'd actually be surprised if he played a whole lot.
This dude hating on Demon says, if we want a project, select Drake Power something. Bro, oh my, I can't with the chat right now, Eric. Drake Pow. Get out of here, man. You just, the dude said, you don't take a guy who's only good at 2 things. So let's take Drake Pow instead. Who is also only good at like 2 things. Anyway, Demon might be good at 3 things. Like, if he's one of those guys that struggled shooting in college but could be fine shooting in the NBA. There's been guys like that. There's been plenty of guys like that. His form is fine. Like I feel like people that hate him is just like, oh, look at his stats. His stats aren't good. I don't know, man. I don't understand the Demon hate at all. I have never understood it.
See, I don't like hate Demon. For the Blazers, I would be a little slightly disappointed. I'm not upset or mad or anything at that pick, but with some of the other guys, if they're still on the board, I just think could have like just as high of an upside, but also could contribute and help more this year.
You know what I feel? I feel like all the Demon haters would have hated for us to have selected Franz Wagner in his draft.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I feel. Doesn't shoot well enough. Like, he can pass a little bit, but I don't know. Like, Demon's a better passer and not as much of a scorer, but I don't know. Like, Franz Wagner had a lot of haters.
Who has the low IQ? Is someone saying Demon has low IQ?
If you think Demon has low IQ, then you have no idea what you're talking about. You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
I mean, people.
He makes reads that almost every player in this draft doesn't make. Like, he makes advanced reads as a ball handler in pick and roll. It's like, if you think he's low IQ, you're just a hater. A hater. Oh, he's way too passive as well. All right. His biggest strength is passing, but he passes too much. Anyway. Moving on from Yegor. I can't wait to have these debates once we draft him. Can't wait. Yegor doesn't have aura. Did you look at the picture in the thumbnail? I thought he had some aura in the thumbnail that I put together. Who has aura? Who's the pick with the most aura the Blazers could take? That's who I want to talk about next. Does Derek Queen have the most aura? I'm saying it like the brand. Shout out to that old sponsor. Um, who has the most aura? Carter Bryant has the most aura. Will Riley? I don't think Will Riley has any aura. I think he has less aura than Yegor Dedmon, okay?
Carter Bryant and yeah, I would say they have some of the least amount of aura.
Well, yeah, Will Riley has none. I don't know. There's not a lot of players with like aura where we're picking compared to maybe some other years, I guess. Like a Senge, uh, Jace Richardson, Cedric Coward. Like I don't feel like these are aura guys according to the internet's definition of that. Colin Murray Boyles is. I don't think any 6'7" dude that can't shoot has aura. All right. Um. All right. Let's talk about. All right. So I'm just gonna say these are the guys that are gonna be off the board. These are the guys we won't talk about: Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe, Con Knuppel, Ace Bailey, Trey Johnson. Maybe Ace Bailey's there. Dude, I forgot we wanted to talk about him real quick. Not working out for any teams, canceling the workout with Philadelphia. He has Sharif Cooper's dad as his agent. I know, like, people are saying, oh, he's getting bad advice. True, but also, like, some of his interview answers, Eric, like, I already was kind of hesitant on him even before all this. I think if I put together a big board right now, I'd have him, like, ninth.
Nice.
I just do not trust him to be
I mean, if you put together.
Like, if I updated mine. I need to update mine. I don't trust him to be a winning NBA player. I trust him to maybe be just good enough to get overpaid and then, like, hamstring his team. That's what I think. Like, he wants to be on a team that he can chuck up a lot of shots on. He's going to chuck up a lot of shots and be like mediocre efficiency. Team defense is going to be terrible, not going to make anyone else better. He's just going to be like a volume, somewhat inefficient scorer, but he's going to get like paid for that, and he's never going to help it. Like, he's not going to help a team win games unless he like changes. That's my gut feeling.
Why do players sabotage themselves? I don't get it, man.
Do you like my tweet? I said either he has a promise or I forget what the other option was. Or the third option is he's trying to one-up Shadur Sanders.
Okay, what's his promise, Tori? If let's just say giving him the
none of this makes sense. I don't know what his promise is. Would he want to go to Utah? He can get shots there. He went to Rutgers. I mean,
I think he doesn't want to go to Utah, and that's part of the problem.
I think he wants to go where he can get the most shots.
Okay.
Was he the guy that didn't want to work out with Charlotte because of LaMelo? Because LaMelo takes too many shots?
I don't know. I mean, that would be hilarious, but I mean, why would he single that one out if he wasn't going to work out for anyone? So that's the only reason why it doesn't make sense. But I could definitely see that.
I mean, who's the prospect that would like say that? Wouldn't it be him? Wouldn't he be the guy that would say that?
If there wasn't the context of him not working out for any team, I would say that's seriously strong.
You're just coming up with a reason for why he's not working out for any team, and that's his reason for Charlotte. And he has, reasons for every other team.
But like, for a long time, he was talked about as like up there with Cooper Flag, heading into the season. But there's no way he's going top 2 in this draft. So unless he was promised to go number 3, but why would he not work out for 3? So that doesn't make sense. So it doesn't. I can't see him wanting to go to Utah or Charlotte. So like maybe Washington at 6. New Orleans is rumored to have promised him they're going to try to move up, or if he fell to 7, they take him. So, um, I don't get. So what? You're fine going 6th or 7th? Like it just
I
doesn't
kind of
make any
think he's
sense.
fine with Utah. I kind of think he can like go into. I kind of think he feels like he could go into Utah and be the number one option right away. Like on the ball. And that might be very misguided, but yeah. I think it's a travesty if he gets to pick top 4. I think it would be a terrible pick for the Sixers. I think it might be an even worse pick for the Charlotte Hornets. Like him and LaMelo together is disastrous. Disastrous, man. Yeah.
Did you see that video of like LaMelo, Leangelo, and Lonzo
No.
working out?
I'm probably happy I didn't.
Yeah, it was pretty cringe.
Dude, I was at a coffee shop today and they played Leangelo's song.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah, swerve around that corner. Sixers need to take Edgecombe. If they go Ace Bailey, it's gonna backfire. I'm very confident in that for both Philly and Charlotte. I think Utah, you can take them and just take a swing. I think Washington, I mean, you got a lot of defenders and a lot of, I don't know, like you don't really have any problems there. And then New Orleans, I mean, him and Zion can get into some trouble somehow. You know?
Well, he's probably looking at like Zion's not going to play, so
True.
I get on my
They
shot.
can replace Trey Murphy. Yeah.
Maybe they're going to trade CJ. So
I just like if he ended up on the Blazers, I just feel like he'd end up driving us crazy with the way he plays, and like he wouldn't end up being particularly good. And he like I don't want that headache. I know people are captivated by the upside of him, Eric. I don't really buy in.
I think what would happen is Chauncey would get sick of his attitude, and then Chris Murray would play over him, and we'd all be like, "Why the hell is Chris Murray playing over Ace Bailey?" I don't know, but
I feel like
dude,
we have center 26-year-old version of Ace Bailey.
Yeah, but
DeAndre.
I don't know, man. If he's there at 11, I still don't know if you can pass on it.
I feel like that's just because of consensus. I feel like if we had no regard for consensus and we just like paid attention to all these players last year, like
you still have him at 9. You said, like that's still.
So you're saying I should have him lower?
Yeah, you should have him lower than 11 if you're not.
I'm saying part of me, like I get it. I just. Like he starts over Tamani or Denny one day. I don't know. I just feel like he doesn't.
Just the whole draft process is like so. Like there's all these dates and there's. It should be like. Impossible to mess it up this bad. Like I don't understand how you could be given this bad information or be. Like I don't want to put it all on his agent or whatever, but like. Because like at some point he's got to stand up and say, "No, I want to work out for these teams. What are you doing to my reputation here?" But like, yeah,
I mean, but he's also 18 and not very mature yet. Hopefully yet. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just like what high ceiling. I mean, he's not a passer or much of a ball handler, doesn't really get to the rim. Like, where's the upside? He makes tough mid-range jumpers. Since when is that upside in today's NBA? I feel like every year there's an upside trap guy in the top 10. That should be taken like 10th to 11th, 12th, like Salon last year was that guy for me. Um, I forget who it was the year before. I just thought of the name. Um, but like I feel like he's the upside trap guy.
But it's completely
J-
different with Salon because at least Ace Bailey has like high
yeah,
school and,
he's a better prospect than Salon.
tapes of
He's a
him
yeah.
being an incredible player, whereas like Salon was just like totally raw.
The upside trap guy. I think the year before was it the year before Jabari Smith, or was that the draft before that?
That was Sharp's draft, so 3 years ago.
I mean, maybe the upside trap was Scoot. At least the rate we're going with him. But like Jabari Smith, I mean Keegan Murray, I don't think people viewed as having upside. But like Jabari Smith, just like a little too stiff. Like he's a good player, but the star stuff, I don't think he'll ever really achieve. Just
Well,
like,
you
'cause the
thought Brandon
creation's
Miller
not
was
there.
going to be the
Yeah, I was wrong about Miller. I thought it was gonna be Miller. There really isn't one of those guys. I guess if any team got trapped into shooting for upside, maybe it was the Magic with Jet Howard at 11. But I mean, you're drafting at 11 at that point.
But that's us. Why is that different for us at 11?
What do you mean?
Well, you said he's an upside trap, but you said it was okay for Orlando to do it 11. Why wouldn't it be okay for us to do it 11 if he's there?
Okay for us to do what at 11?
Draft Ace.
I mean, I get it. Yeah, if he's there at 11, I'd probably just say draft him. Like, you might as well take a shot. But I don't know. The other upside trap last year was Cody Williams. That was the other guy. Yeah, at least right now. Still early.
I feel like it's hindsight.
Yeah, of course it's hindsight, but like you can look back at all these drafts and it's like, okay, why was Cody Williams an upside trap? Oh, because like he showed flashes of being able to put the ball on the floor, knock down the three, but low volume, like get to the rim and score, like make an occasional pass, but like he wasn't particularly good at any of that, and he was like needs to get a lot stronger to handle any physicality at the NBA level. And it's like he's not a good shooter. You know what I mean? He wasn't good at any of that stuff. It was just like flashes where you could envision him being good at all that stuff. So like, oh, and because he's 6'7", he has upside. And he's Jalen Williams' younger brother. Like, and that was the trap with Cody Williams. It's hindsight, absolutely, but also I think it's like looking back on these players, like why were they thought of as having high upside that wasn't really there? Like, what were the problems? Because it can be something that you learn from, and then you go forward into the next draft. Like, okay, you're not going to make that same mistake. Yegor Demon might be an upside trap guy. he could absolutely be an upside trap guy, but like with the range you're drafting him in, it's fine. It's fine. Like 11 to 19 is his range. There are people talking about Cody Williams being like a top 3-4 pick in the draft at some points last season. It was a weaker draft, though. Anyway, that's my Ace Bailey rant. I just want to get that off my chest. Okay, Derek Queen. He could be an upside trap guy. But if he's there at 11, you draft him to back up Klingon. I think he's ready to play right away. I kind of want to just start Klingon if we draft Queen and play Queen behind him and trade Ayton, trade Rob Will. Because what Queen can do offensively, I think is going to translate right away. I think he's going to have like major defensive issues his rookie year. That could be a serious problem. But like, if you're drafting Queen, it's because you're willing to work through that, in my opinion. So, especially because you have good defenders, I think if you want to keep Rob Will as like a third center, and then if Queen's really struggling, you maybe send him down to the G League. I don't know, like sure, fine. I think the idea with Queen is like offensive hub off the bench at a backup center spot, and then if he can develop his shot, maybe get a little bit quicker on the perimeter defensively, you could play him next to Klingon. I think that's the idea with him.
I think people are confused. We're not saying these people we take over other people. We're just
We're
going
talking
through
about all
each of
the
the Blazers'
potential
potential
picks.
picks and why the Blazers would pick them and how they fit if they did pick them.
Why? What'd somebody
Okay.
say?
Well, I just see this like, um,
The Demon hater?
well,
Is that what he's
Alex
on?
Wolf. So both of you guys want Coward if Agar is gone. Who said we wanted Agar over Coward? Like we haven't even gotten to
Just
Coward
because
yet.
I
But
advocate for Yegor against his haters doesn't mean that
right,
it means I want to draft him. I'm
yeah,
okay with drafting him. There's a difference.
yeah. But back to Queen. He measured out okay. What was the standing reach? Do you remember?
I'll pull up the measurements, especially because.
Oh,
Also, I need to open my window. It's hot in here. His standing reach was 9'1.5". So like the same as the Senge.
yeah.
9'1.5", which is solid enough for a center, right?
Yeah, just he doesn't have any athleticism, so he's got good footwork and stuff like that, but he's very much a on the ground player. Um I think out of all the people we're going to talk about, I maybe Yakuchonis just because of position wise, or if it was a guard like Fears or something, just because like that would lead into even more questions about our rotation and stuff like
I
that.
take
But
Ferris 11 if he's there.
yeah, I'm just for upside. But like, in my opinion, the more I think about it, the more Queen would be the guy I'd be most disappointed in taking at 11. And it just, not that I don't think he's a good player or anything. Um, I don't think he really fits with what the Blazers are kind of building identity wise. And if you have uh, a center who isn't the most athletic but isn't the biggest either, then because like Klingon isn't super athletic, but he's like a massive human being. Like he's an imposing person, whether he can jump 40 inches or not. He just has an impact out there, and I just don't think Queen's good enough defensively um, or rebounding to be that answer long term in the rotation. But I understand like his footwork and his ability to put the ball on the floor at that size, create his own shot, maybe has some playmaking upside as well. Um, they do have some. They do have some upside there, but I don't know if it really fits on this roster currently.
Yeah, I get that. Before I bring up the next prospect, so the Demon hater that I've been going to war with. What's funny is I can click on anybody's profile and see past comments. So he says Demon sucks. He also said OKC wins game 1 by 20. So assuming we draft Demon, hopefully his Demon take is just as off as that one was.
Also, my guy, can you please do me a favor and put your thoughts together in like one chat message instead of keep putting like 3 or 4 in a row with just like one word or 2 word things? Like, can you just like combine them all into one so we're not
even if it's a run-on
spamming
sentence?
chat?
We'll
Yeah.
even accept run-on sentences.
I do agree if RWNW3 is talking about Queen, but I'm assuming he is. There's more room for him to contribute to this team than the guards in the draft. Yeah, I agree with that. But
I mean, I feel like if Fears is there at 11 and you draft Fears, you're not drafting him to play your one.
Yeah.
Like you,
Well, we always said that with Demon too.
yeah, yeah. So it depends on if you're looking for somebody to contribute right away or not. Let's talk about Fierce. I think will be off the board though. Yaku Chonis is more ready than Fears, in my opinion. He doesn't have he had some bad turnover moments. He was pretty turnover prone, just like Fears. But I just think the size, I don't know. Yago Chonis' 3-point shot fell off last year. I just think as like a big guard that should be able to knock down enough threes, and like had impressive playmaking flashes. I just think he's a little bit more NBA ready than Fears. I think Fears is a little bit higher upside. Yago Chonis is a guy I need to revisit because I really liked him early in the season. Then he started to struggle, and I soured on him. And I feel like where he should be valued is somewhere in the middle. I think I had him like as high as 4 on my big board, and then as low as like 15 or something like that. So I just need to reevaluate him and kind of go back over things. But I think if you draft him, you should be trading Ant, and he should be your third guard behind Scoot and Sharp. And I actually think he would be a pretty solid fit with both those guys in the backcourt. His defense is a little bit of a question mark. I wish he was like a projected as like a lockdown guy because I think his offensive traits fit with Scoot. Like I know he shot 32% from 3 last year. I think he'll be like a 35, 36% 3-point shooter. I think he'll be good enough. He shot 84.5% from the free throw line. Tankathon projects his 3-point percentage is 36.9. He can run the point next to Sharp and I think playoff Scoot. So I wouldn't mind that as a pick at 11 either. I just think you should be trading it absolutely at that point if you're drafting him.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of put him still. I do agree that he's a little bit more NBA ready, but I still think he's. I mean, obviously, if he goes to a bad team, he's going to play right away. But I think on a team trying to make the playoffs year one, he's probably not having a huge role.
Yeah. So the other guy, like, that's going to get drafted by 11 that we haven't named just to get these guys out of the way is Maluwatch. If Maluwatch is there at 11, I'm drafting him in a heartbeat at this point. I'll just say that. Like,
another guy we have to trade Ayton.
yeah, but like if you draft him, you just dominate the center position, and I think he has a little bit of shooting potential, and I like that he's big, but also a little bit more mobile than Klingon. So he also, I think, has potential to become a shooter. So, like, he could develop into that, like, change of pace threat while still having, like, elite rim protection at that position. I think they could end up being a nice complement to each other. And I think, I don't know, like, if he can knock down threes, could he be mobile enough to play next to him in twin tower lineups?
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough because Klingon is not mobile enough to do that, I don't think. But
well, yeah, Klingon would be your 5 and Maluwatch would be your 4. Like, I don't know. He's a little bit a little bit more mobile. Like that could be a look. Maluwatch would just need to be able to develop his shot. Or Klingon. One of the two. Like you're just making out one of the two. Because one of them needs to be able to shoot if you're gonna play them together. And maybe Maluwatch isn't mobile enough, but I don't know, give you just the ability to match up with like the Cavs and the Thunder if they're playing Chet and Hardenstein if you want to go big. Like it's not a bad option to have. But he won't be there at 11. Just I think he'd be a really safe, good pick there if he fell, of course. All right, let's talk about Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant, a lot of people like him. He fits the defensive identity of the Blazers. I think he could be a little too Monty-ish defensively. I think I've labeled I've labeled him high upside because he has like passing flashes and can knock down a three. I kind of retract that, just because the creation he doesn't really project as like a off the dribble creator to me. Maybe he could develop that, but he didn't really show it much in college. He also wasn't given much of an opportunity to, so it's kind of like that wild card. But I think he just projects as like 3-and-D guy that can attack a closeout and like make a solid pass, and that's basically Tamani. Like he's kind of a carbon copy of that archetype. And while that's valuable for sure, I almost feel like maybe somebody that can defend but provides a little bit more juice offensively would be better for Portland off the bench at a forward spot. Um, just to boost the offense and give a little bit different look there while still hopefully being a good defender. So I totally get it if they drafted Carter Bryant. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I get it too. I've mentioned this before, but like Arizona was very guard heavy in terms of ball dominance last year, and the few times like Carter Bryant did something, it was like, whoa, he's got that in his bag, and then you wouldn't see it for like 3 games.
Yeah.
like he barely touched the ball, and so it's like a complete unknown whether he is the type that was just a freshman on a very old team and just didn't want to assert himself when the rest of his team was 5 or 6 year starters or whatever. But like the question for me of when that happens is he, does that tend to lead towards him being okay with just like being a role player and just fitting in, or was he just in a situation where he was young and didn't know how to assert himself yet, but he does have like the potential to be a top option or a second or third option. So yeah, it's like it's always hard because you just
Yeah.
don't know because you didn't see it,
Yeah.
and you're not. That's where when people say, "Oh, you're not in these workouts," or you're not a GM. Like, yeah, that's exactly correct, and that's where I think you would see a little bit more of this in a workout or whatever. But I mean, he did some things like some of those games last year I'd watch, and he'd like shoot an off the dribble three with a guy in his face and cash it or something, and he'd just be like, whoa, this guy is like making plays out there. And then, like I said, he would just like disappear for long stretches, and I don't know if that was just situation or not.
Yeah. If he goes to the right team that knows how to develop him, he'll end up being very good. Is that Portland? Is Portland a good developmental team?
See,
It's hard to say yes.
I let's just bring up this guy next because Cedric Coward, in my mind, is like the higher upside version of Carter Bryant. Like I feel like you're getting the same floor, but potentially guy who could be that, like,
Yeah.
maybe not a star, but like a high end like second or third option versus a fourth or fifth option on a good team. So like I don't know. I feel like they're kind of similar size wise and things like that. So I really, if it came down to it, I would much rather swing for Coward and his ability that he's already shown to put the ball. Granted, it was only 14 games this year, but um, it, you he's got the ability to put the ball on the floor. He is older, like Nathan mentioned, so maybe that's part of it too. If we're talking 2 years down the road for Carter
Yeah.
Bryant. Maybe it's a different discussion, but like I don't know. It feels to me like Coward is ready to like blossom and stuff like that, whereas Carter Bryant's more of a it could be he could be a decent player. He could be a good 3-and-D guy, but I don't know if that's a ceiling or not.
Yeah, I think I guess Coward, like, ceiling wise, has a pretty high ceiling. I go back and forth on his upside, obviously, but like just some of the flashes off the dribble stuff were like intriguing. I think he's a better athlete than Coward. I think that gives him a little higher ceiling than Coward, but I think it might be a little bit more likely that Coward is like starting caliber.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching Carter Bryant highlights, and it's hard not to just buy into the highlight tape, man, because he looks super impressive on highlights, you know.
Right.
But this is why you can't just watch highlight tapes. Like he's the type of prospect where like people start watching highlight tapes of prospects this time of year, and like people fall in love with them because
Yeah.
you know.
Well, then he says he patterns his game after Tamale, so
Yeah.
Blazer fans like love him, you know.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but
Yeah. But Coward. So RWN3W said Coward's a guard. He's like sharp size. No, Coward and Carter Bryant have the same standing reach. They have the same standing reach, 8'10".
yeah, I think
Cooper Flagg's standing reach is 8'10" and a half, for reference.
I think both of them can play the 3 easily.
Oh, your side topic. Quickly, you know, I said I'd be really bummed out if Avdalis withdrew.
He did,
And
yeah,
that he did.
yeah.
And like apparently there was like a small chance he could go to Gonzaga. You know how much I would have loved that. Just get all my guys, Tyon Grant
They went to
Foster, and
Virginia Tech.
he went to freaking Virginia Tech. Why would you go to Virginia Tech? NIL, I guess. Virginia Tech has NIL, I guess. But like I think he might have ended up being like a top 35 pick of dollars. I think he was gonna go higher than people were saying. I like him. Did you ever watch him? Do you ever look into him?
No, I didn't do it.
Bro, he could be a lottery pick next year. I'll just say that. Heard it here first.
I'm kind of. I 2 thoughts. One, I think it's stupid for anyone who is going to get drafted this year to go. I mean, I just feel like there's such a drop off at a certain point in this draft, and but 2, I am excited to see him play a year at college to like get that film on him too. So
It's just gonna be a Virginia Tech. Like I feel like he's gonna be like Stojakovic in college. It's not even gonna matter.
yeah, where did Stojakovic end up transferring?
Illinois.
To? Did you? Oh, Illinois. That's right.
You got the Avicic brothers and
Illinois was
Stojakovic.
loaded, yeah.
Yeah, I forget who else. I think they got somebody else. Yeah, so they're gonna be a fun college team. All right. Coward just 3-and-D, like plays right away as the backup 3 shooter. Fun player, man. Colin Murray Boyles. I do not want Colin Murray Boyles. You know what's crazy is there's always like these like Twitter. There's NBA Big Board Twitter, and it's basically like this alternate community that every year just has these big boards that like have some of the most insane stuff. Like I saw one of them had Dylan Cardwell above Dylan Harper. Is that his name? Dylan Cardwell, the guy from
Auburn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like had him 7th. And basically, but so there's trends within these Twitter big boards, and it's weird. It's almost like they're all in a group chat together, and they just have this echo chamber, and they don't listen to anything else, and they just like convince each other that like certain players are good, like Hannes Steinbeck. You remember that
Yeah.
wave? Like, so basically, on all these Twitter big boards, Colin Murray Bowes is like the second or third best player in the draft,
Yeah.
and it's just like 6'7", can't shoot, not a center. He does some other things good, but it's like these Twitter big boards, they have no regard for like potential role at the next level at all. At all. Like it just doesn't matter. He can defend and he's like a good player. I think he'll carve out a role, but you have to have a stretch five next to him. Cuz he's not a five and he can't shoot. Like his shot's just completely broken. He can pass a little bit. He can put the ball on the deck a little bit. But, like, I feel like a lot of his scoring around the rim, Eric, he relied upon being, like, strong, big, and athletic. And I just don't think that translates super well to the next level. I just have so many questions about him. And with the Blazers' lack of shooting, if you want to go defense, like, just take Carter Bryant, somebody that can shoot. You know what I mean? Like, don't go Colin Murray Boyles.
I had some time last night, and I was like, "Oh, I want to pick a player and do a deep dive on," and I chose Colin Boyles. And there were times, like when I was watching film and stuff, I was like,
Uh-oh.
"This guy could has like a sneaky chance of being that next Draymond type, where he's like undersized." But can pass and put the ball on the floor, and obviously is a really good defender. But I mean, Draymond's such a unique player. I hate to like compare anyone.
And
to
Draymond
him.
ended up in the perfect situation for him.
Yeah, absolutely. But like he did have some high level passes and things like that. But at the same time, watching him finish around the rim, especially when he didn't dunk, it did seem like he used a lot of low angles and stuff that I was questioning whether he's getting half of his shots off in the NBA, and then that combined with his jumper, he does this, he like puts his hand over the ball and like brings it down before he goes up to shoot, and it just like he could clean it up obviously, but I was like, man, this guy has no chance of being that shot being replicable in the NBA. So.
Yeah, he has to completely rework the way he shoots. He has to completely relearn how to shoot the ball from the ground up. If he can somehow effectively do that, then like he could be a top 3 player from this class, but that's just so unlikely to bet on.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has to rework his shot more than Lonzo did. Like, Lonzo at least had some flow to his jump shot. He just released the ball on the other side of his head. Like, his follow-through was fine. Like, there were some elements of Lonzo's shot, as ugly as it was, that were fine. Like, it's not the case for Colin Murray Boyles. Yeah, he has the same standing reach, by the way, as Cedric Coward.
Yeah, so that combined with him being, undersized, I don't know, like, well, I'd be upset if he was our pick, I guess, but in terms of, like, most teams, I don't know, I do see his defense and just his IQ and his ability to be productive. I mean, I could see it working out for a team.
Just not our team. If he ends up in OKC and plays next to Chet, with Chet as the 5, like that is a perfect pairing for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like probably the perfect team for him. He probably fits in there like a glove. Like that could be OKC's pick at 15 and be like, yeah, he'll help them. But he needs a stretch 5 to play next to.
Yeah.
So, Noah Asenge.
I mean, now that he's measured at 6'10", I doubt he's falls to 11, but
Yeah.
This is
9'2" standing reach, 6'10" without shoes, 7'1" wingspan.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's probably not bulky enough to play the center, but
No.
you have like an insanely big forward. Um, I it played really well towards the end of the season. Got a lot better this year. So that probably speaks to his work ethic being good. Yeah,
You know what's weird about him is like he's high upside as a creator, and it's not because of any of his ball skills.
yeah.
Does that make sense? Before I explain it, does that make
Just because
sense?
of his size.
Because of his size and like his quickness.
Yeah,
Um, Basically, you put him on the Giannis diet, and if you can bulk him up like Giannis did, where he can just go at guys the way Giannis does, you could have yourself a star. And it's literally just like Giannis is shiftier and changes direction better. I think like that's gonna be a problem. So like I don't think he's gonna be Giannis if he does that. But like if he can just use his like a lot of guys struggle translating to the league because they can't just rely upon like size and quickness and stuff. He could if he gets a lot stronger. With how weak he is, it's gonna be a problem. But like if he could bulk up a ton and still like retain that quickness like Giannis did, he's super quick, super good in the open floor, like transition lane filler, that sort of stuff, like long arms, runs well. He's just like straight line driver, and he's not a good shooter. He struggled from three. Last year I think he shot like 26%. So
it
I
feels like he could
yeah.
eventually like develop that. I
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone knows the answer to this. Maybe you do, Tori. Do you know when he started playing basketball?
No.
Because it kind of plays like someone who hasn't been playing for a
Yeah.
long time and like just like has a sped up growth process because he's
Mhm.
like trying to take in so much information at once. You know?
You know what he reminds me of though a little bit, like little bit of a less raw version of Salon. Um, like I think he's a little bit more refined. Like he's
It
like has a better feel for his body and like spatial awareness stuff. And
it kind of reminds me more of Ricochet than Salon.
I think he's kind of a mix. Because I think like the way he runs in the open floor and like the straight line drive stuff as a prospect kind of reminds me a little bit of him, but like he's a little more coordinated than Salon. He's a little bit more like spatially aware,
Yeah.
and I think that matters. I think that's Salon's biggest problem, and I don't know if he'll ever overcome it. One of the first things I said about Salon when we started talking about last year is like to me he's just like kind of like a deer that's just kind of flailing around the court and it like somehow works as a prospect. And it's tough at the NBA level, but you know he still has time. He's still very young. Charlotte just has to be patient with him, and everybody reacts to 1 year. But yeah, Senge, like, if the Blazers draft him, he's an upside guy, and you just hope that he can develop the shot, that he can bulk up, and then, like, be, like, a 4-5 if he gets strong enough to play the 5. And I don't know. Like, he's also one of the youngest players in the draft, too. He's, like, maybe the most moldable prospect where, like, what you draft him as is not what he's going to be in 4 years, and I have no idea what he's going to be in 4 years, but it's probably going to be something decent. Just, I have no idea what it looks like.
Yeah, I think so there's definitely guys that want more than him, but if they take him, I think I'd be the most excited about like what we have potentially,
Yeah.
like just high upside. I think so, and I do think they did come and play us in the preseason, and so you would assume. Our front office got a bit of a behind the scenes look at him because I'm pretty sure they practice at the training facility. So maybe they've been following him pretty closely since then. I mean, obviously they follow all these guys closely, but maybe they got some insight into his character and stuff like that when he was here. So. Yeah.
Would you have still taken Montas over Klingon? No, I wouldn't. Klingon fits the core better. Montas had a good rookie season, but Klingon fits with Tabati and Denny. All right. Do we even talk about Jace Richardson? Like, they're not going to pick him, right?
I don't think so.
The Suns are going to trade KD for a pick to take him. And they're going to keep up the Michigan State thing. But the thing is like, if they end up with 17 from Minnesota or 20 from Miami and he's there, he probably is a good pick for them. It'll just be funny because of the Michigan State thing. Nick Clifford. I think he's like less likely to be taken at 11 by the Blazers than any of these guys. Like, maybe there's no chance they take him at 11, but I think they should consider him.
Yeah, in my mind, Clifford that would be an indication that they're trying to find a rotation player for this year. Because I think out of all these guys we've mentioned, he's the most likely to crack our rotation right away. Maybe just like a scoring punch off the bench. Does a lot of things well. I don't know, like
he's sneaky upside.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't have upside.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm adding. He has sneaky upside. I think he might have the sneakiest upside in the class because he's going to be 20. He's going to be almost 24 opening day, right? You don't think of those players as having like upside, but his passing and like 3-level scoring, some of the pull-up jumpers he started hitting, he developed his 3-point shot, but also like some of the dunks he had at the rim, like just the way he exploded in traffic was kind of intriguing. I think he's just quick enough to beat guys, and I think just in order to reach like the sneaky upside I'm talking about, he has to get better handling the ball, and he has to get a little bit more creative in that regard. But last year he averaged 4.4 assists, scored 19 points per game, shot almost 50% from the field, 38% from three, averaged 9.6 rebounds per game. Like, he's kind of like he could be like a better shooting version of Josh Hart.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you could get a better shooting version of Josh Hart, wouldn't you take him at 11? Like, that's a pretty dang good player.
I'm pretty sure that was Colorado State was who Queen beat at the buzzer, right?
Yeah.
Didn't Clifford have like a really good game in that?
He had 21 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists.
He brought it when it mattered. I see the 3-point shot was something I was worried about him when he was possibly going to come out the year before. But he kind of put that to bed.
Also, the Mountain West tournament dude, like, that dude. That's when I really fell in love with him as a prospect. He had 25, 14, and 4. 25 points, 14 boards, 4 assists against Nevada. Then he had 26 points, 11 boards, 6 assists against Utah State. Then he had 24 points, 6 boards, 3 assists against Boise State. Not to mention the last game of the regular season before that, he had 36 points on 13 for 18, 4 for 7 from 3 against Boise State. And Boise State was like a fringe tournament team. I think they were one of the first 4 out, if I recall correctly. I don't remember. But like, it's the Mountain West, blah, 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 but I mean, it's not the worst mid-major, man. And he had a good game against Maryland. Like, I just think he's gonna be able to get to his spots. Like, I think he's quick enough and athletic enough to make some of his scoring work in the league, and I think he's going to be like a solid defensive piece, solid rebounder, like do it all with some scoring punch. And if the Blazers drafted him, like, I think fans would fall in love with him watching his tape right away. Like, people would question it, and then they start watching his tape, and they're like, oh, yeah, we really like this guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't.
He's going
15. Going to consider him, though.
He's going 14 to San Antonio, 15 to OKC, or 16 to Memphis, and he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
And
Although
Coward's going
maybe
to another one of those teams.
Memphis might be gun shy of taking a Colorado State guy after Roddy.
He's just so much different than Roddy, though. But yeah,
I'm messing with you because I know you like Roddy too.
he is like, isn't he like the perfect guy for Memphis to replace Bane? Like, he's not as good of a shooter, but he has some similar traits, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, just he feels like a Memphis guy.
Yeah.
He really feels like a Memphis guy. There's 4 teams actually that he'd be great fits for, because you got Minnesota at 17 if they lose Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Nick Clifford, I think, would be ready to step into that role. So, I think he'll go 14 to 17. That's my prediction. Thomas Sorber? God, if the Blazers drafted him 11, man. I feel like I'm hitting on him a little too much.
He's got really good defensive analytics. I guess we could talk ourselves into him being a really good fit defensively. But
yeah, I don't buy the shooting. Like, okay, he can make a solid pass. I just like, we need a change of pace from Klingon if we're drafting a center. Like, I'd rather draft Danny Wolf than. Apparently, Danny Wolf is starting to get late lottery buzz. I forget where I read that, but like, apparently he's shooting well in workouts, is what I read. I don't think the Blazers will take him 11. Sorber 9'1" standing reach. Yeah, he has a 7'6" wingspan. He feels Claxton-y. Like, I don't know. Like, that would be like his high end comp.
I would bring up Rasheer Fleming next, but there's been 24 people invited to the green room, and he's not one of them yet. So
yeah, it just seems like his stock is.
A lot.
It seems like he measured really good at the combine, and then his stock has just dropped. Which maybe that's a workout thing. Maybe he's not looking good in workouts. He's also the type of player that maybe wouldn't look that great in workouts.
I mean, they showed his workout on the clutch day, and he seemed good.
You know what's funny is, like, our chat for a moment in time was like, "That's the guy at 11. That's the guy at 11." No, I feel like that train has completely derailed.
I mean, I still understand it if they do it, but
yeah.
I just seems, if mock drafts are any indication, it just seems like he's gonna go.
Like, you could trade down
later in the first round. Yeah,
that's it. Landon, that guy says a lot of things that might be true, but also aren't true. So,
yeah, I haven't heard anything bad. Like, obviously, Ace has dominated the headlines, but I haven't heard anything bad about his workouts. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this time of year we hear about like 5 or 6 people that like just dominated workouts for Portland. Like, these private workouts and nobody sees them. Man, all these prospects dominate.
Dude, I don't know if it's just me or not, but like I feel like there's like no buzz about other teams working out players either. Like,
it's just a new way, man.
Yeah.
Everything done in secrecy except Ace Bailey. He doesn't work out and it's done in public.
Yeah.
But McNeely, I would hate it if they drafted him at 11.
Yeah.
I really would hate it if they drafted him at 11.
Yeah, especially multiple players we've talked about already going to for sure be on the board. So, yeah.
Behringer got a green room invite.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. Did Walter Clayton get a green room invite?
Yeah. I think he was today, I think.
Did Ray know?
I I don't remember if Reno did or not.
I'd take Reno over Sorber, by the way.
Yeah.
I wonder who they'd want in the second round if they traded into it. We can talk about that in another stream. Anyway,
Yeah.
those are some targets. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Anything else, Eric?
Thanks everyone for watching. As Tori mentioned earlier, we'll be live pretty much 4 days in a row next week. But we'll also go live if anything happens as soon as possible.
Yep. I don't know. Are we going to get another trade before the end of the finals? What's funny is the Pacers made a trade when they're in the finals. Never seen that before.
I didn't even think you could do that. I guess because no players are involved.
I mean, it also could be like a not yet official.
Yeah.
But just like announced, essentially.
Yeah.
Because
it is interesting that
it's not like they drafted or traded a player or anything.
The Pacers could win a championship and they just freed up all their future picks from 26 to 32.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I hope they win Game 7, man. That would be insane.
Who are the Pavers?
Pavers trade their souls for an NBA Finals. I always love doing this. Like, rewind 2 months, start of the playoffs, we're picking our brackets, if I said it like, yeah, Indiana OKC Finals going to 7 games. Everybody else picked Indiana losing first round, by the way. I should have had them beating the Cavs. Said in 7 games, man. I should have had them beating the Cavs. I should have bet on them to win the East. But their run has just been. I feel like we've gotten used to at this point. Like, yeah, Indiana's a really good team, but like going into the playoffs, it was like, yeah, they're a solid playoff team, but like they're not a contender. I feel like that's how we looked at them. Yeah, they got a fluke. Teams were injured. They made the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Like, that's what people said.
To be fair, no one thought they were a championship team.
Yeah. Which is just like crazy that they are 1 win away.
Yeah.
And if they actually pulled it off in OKC, it would be the most shocking playoff run to a title that I've ever seen in the NBA. Like, is there any that top that?
I mean, the ones that come to mind are the usual ones. The 2004 Pistons beating that Laker team that had won 3 in a row, or had previously won 3. And then,
but weren't they the favorite in the East?
Well, they had. I forgot what year of this was, but there was, I think it was 6 straight seasons that they were in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah,
with Chauncey. So yeah, but yeah, and then the 2011 Mavs,
they were the 3 seed. Yeah, I think this is more shocking than the Mavs because the Mavs had been there before with Dirk. Like, they'd always been, pretty good with Dirk.
Yeah, but it was also the first year of LeBron, Wade, and Bosh teaming up. And
yeah,
a lot of people thought they were just going to steamroll.
But, OKC's a 68-win team.
Yeah.
they're a 68-win team.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I mean, the Mavs, beat the Lakers. People thought the Lakers were going to be the Mavs. But, they had been there before. At least Dirk-led team had been there before. They had been around.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, we're here. We're finals team now. Shocking. And, Detroit had been competitive in those previous playoffs. I think this... I mean, I wasn't paying attention in those years, but I would say this is Detroit was the 1 seed the year before and then lost to New Jersey. I feel like this would be more shocking than both of them, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Wasn't Houston's second championship they were 6 seed, but it was they won back to back, so it was that. I know some people might throw that in the conversation back in, what was it, 1995, 1996?
Well, that's a little misleading because they had injuries.
Yeah.
And then they traded for Drexler.
Yeah.
During that season, and by the time they were in the playoffs and healthy, they were freaking stacked. So
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, just in terms of what they had to go through, because they beat I think they had to go through the top 4 record-wise teams to win it all, if I'm not mistaken, or something close to that, or at least I think every team they played was like a high seed, or the highest possible seed they could play.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy having the Pacers win the finals and then the Magic win the finals.
Yeah.
Anyway, I really hope they get it done, man. I really hope they get it done. It's just such a great story, and it's just wild that there's only 2 days in between that and the draft. So we finish up the finals, and then we recap it on Monday, and then we preview the draft on Tuesday, and then we have Wednesday, Thursday draft live streams. That's 4 days in a row. Maybe we have a trade live stream on Sunday. It might be 5 days in a row. We'll see. We'll go live if anything happens. We'll have those streams next week.
I got very excited, Tori, because I looked up. Because remember last year, the second day of the draft was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And they moved it to 5 this year.
And it's at Barclays Center, so it's much better.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to the draft, man. It's almost here.
Yeah.
We almost get some answers. Maybe we get a trade soon. Maybe we get a Friday morning shams bomb that Joe Cronin woke up and made something shake. We'll see. We'll be live if it happens. Appreciate you guys for watching. Hit the like button on the way out of here. Easiest way to support the channel. If you can't hit the like button, man, that hurts my feelings. Hurts my feelings. Subscribe. Hit the bell button. Join our Discord, link in the description box below. All that good stuff. Appreciate you guys. Shout out to Eli Hanna earlier for donating. Appreciate that as well. We are out of here. We will catch you again on Monday or maybe sooner. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!